flags and join the board in the pledge. Hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing and join the board in a moment of silence as we honor our veterans, our first responders, and our active military. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our public meeting, the last one for the month of June. Month of June is a busy one for the village, so I want to talk about a few things that have happened over the last week or two and a few things that are going to be coming up. I'll also leave some comments from my fellow board members. This past Saturday, we had a very busy day. In the morning, we had our annual Mineola John Estevanzo pool opening. The pool is open, fully functional, full-time hours. This is the week to go into the pool. My daughter's been there 3 days this week already. It is truly a gem in our village. Thank you to Mr. Rini and the DPW staff for getting the pool ready for the summer. I will tease you with the fact that we do have plans to, in the next 2 years, not next year, but the year after that, doing some major improvements to the pool. It's been probably about 40 years since there was any major work done on the pool, so we think that it's time. But in the meantime, the pool is still a great place, and it's certainly, you get your bang for your buck at $15 for a leisure pass. Then on Saturday afternoon, we also had our Arts and Automobiles event down on 2nd Street. Pretty impressive, really a lot of fun. The weather was great, which I think could have been a help or a detriment because a lot of people probably went to the beach. It was kind of in the middle of the day, but some really nice cars that I can't afford and some very impressive artwork as well. So just something different, and we have more events planned like that. Check our website specifically for our events, www.mineolaevents.com. We have our Artisan and Wellness Market coming up soon, and then in the fall we have some more stuff. This weekend, on Saturday, we have Desert Highway. It was supposed to be our second, but last week we had to cancel Tramps Like Us, which would have been our inaugural concert for the season. But if you remember, at about 7:09, the heavens opened up and it rained like biblical proportions. So I think we made the right call on postponing that to June 28th. And this weekend we have June 22nd. We have Desert Highway, which is an Eagles cover band. So we hope to see you there. Again, check our website. Check Mineola Events, social media for all of that information regarding all the events that we have going on in the summer. And finally, this weekend is graduation weekend, especially at Mineola High School, but other neighboring high schools as well. So I want to congratulate all the graduates, especially my graduate, who is off to college in the fall. Deputy Mayor Sartori, her 2 graduates, and everybody else, grandparents, parents, who are celebrating the accomplishment of high school graduation. So with that, I'll turn it over to the Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. As we said, summer is in full gear, and we were speaking about the pool. I just want to remind everybody, on Saturday at 8:30 in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, there is registration for swim lessons. It's swim lessons for both kids and adults. It's $25 registration, check or cash, and you have to line up on Saturday to do it, but it's well worth the wait. So Saturday morning, 8 o'clock at the pool. And just want to remind everybody, at the library, there is an adult reading club going on all through the summer. It's happening from June 10th to August 10th, and every book gives you points, and points give you prizes, so something to do and keep engaged in the library and in reading over the summer. A good beach read while you're there. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Trustee Casado.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. Last night, the Mineola Chamber of Commerce held their monthly meeting, and at that meeting, they kept their annual tradition. Each June, they take the time to recognize 2 graduating high school students for their achievements. One student comes from the high school, and one student comes from Chaminade High School. Last night, each of them received a check for $2,000, thanks to our Chamber of Commerce. I want to congratulate those recipients, and thank you for the Chamber for recognizing our students. Also at that meeting, Mayor Pereira swore in the new officers for the Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Ross Levine is now the new president of the Chamber. And with that being said, I want to thank Lou Panachulli for his 3 years of service as the past president of the Chamber. And then on a personal note, I want to extend my congratulations to my fellow colleagues, Mayor Pereira and Deputy Mayor Santori, on the graduations of your 2 seniors, class of 2024. Congratulations to you, your sons, and your families. And to those other students, whether it be at college or high school level, congratulations to all of you. It's an exciting time of your life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Trustee Clark?
Good evening. I think you guys covered everything that I had. I have no report.
Okay. Trustee Salowski?
I think you covered a lot. The only thing that I just wanted to say is that the Mineola Volunteer Ambulance Corps is having a fundraiser this Saturday from 5 to 10 at the Lost Farmer. Right Coast Taqueria will be there. And if you just mention that you're there for MVAC, they will donate a portion of your check to the organization. So it's a great way to have a good time there and helps raise some money for the ambulance corps. That's it.
Okay, thank you. And one more thing that I would like to mention is this past Monday evening, we had our second LPC meeting, Local Planning Committee meeting for the New York Forward, a $4.5 million grant. I love to see all these people here. I would love it if you would come to these meetings and to these workshops. You have an absolute say. We don't get to choose the projects, okay? We don't get to determine how we spend the $4.5 million. The committee that New York State is going to decide will certainly listen to residents. So according to them, the 2 LPC meetings that we've had and workshops were very well attended relative to what they do in other communities. Last year was Long Beach and Lindenhurst and South Huntington. This year it's Mineola and the town of Brookhaven, the only 2 that got the New York Forward here on Long Island. Kings Park got $10 million DRI. But anyway, all of that is on our website. There's a website called MineolaNYF.com. If you go on there, you can put your suggestions. It's very easy, very interactive. They are starting their open call for projects starting tomorrow, okay, tomorrow, and they will only run for about 5 or 6 weeks. If you know anyone who owns a business, or is a landlord, or is a developer, or is just a business owner, a tenant, they can put a project idea forward and see if it is funded. It will be funded up to 75%. So if it's a $100,000 facade rehabilitation, the owner pays $25,000, the state pays $75,000. So I would love for more people to get involved. I think we are, not I think, I know, we're going to have 3 more LPC meetings, more workshops in the fall. We're going to take the month of July off, I believe. But there will be, every month, there will be an LPC meeting. So it essentially works, there's the committee, and all the discussion is held in public. We film it, we put it on Channel 18, but more importantly, you, the public, gets to participate, gets to offer ideas, gets to ask questions, gets to think about proposals. So we would love to hear from you. And if you can't make it, you can certainly go online and put any ideas that you have in the New York Forward area. So the New York Forward area basically is the heart of the downtown, and then up our 2 arteries of Willis Avenue, Mineola Boulevard, to Jericho, and then it kind of splits east and west to about where Marcellus is, and to Roslyn Road, and it actually takes Willis all the way up to the village border. So anything in that area can benefit. So these $4.5 million are not $4.5 million given to the village for us to do whatever we want with it. Although we are putting in proposals just like everyone else, but we are not going to get $4.5 million worth of proposals. They actually encourage private proposals that they want to fund. So they will not fund $4.5 million of public projects. So we need private projects as well to be funded. So just an FYI.
And just might want to let them know about how the planners will assist with applications as well.
Right. So first of all, the plan is not that onerous at this point. At this point, just get your application in, some very general questions. What do you want to do? How much you think it's going to cost and things like that. But if you have any doubts or issues about filling out the form, they have office hours that are on the website that you can contact them, and certainly just submit it. And if there's anything that's missing, they'll ask you for it. So the important thing is to just get that in. Again, this is not for homeowners. This would be for business owners, property owners, things like that, and the village, of course, but also nonprofits. Okay, so nonprofits can also put in churches, synagogues, soup kitchens. Anyone can really put in as long as it's a material benefit to the village. Okay? Okay, anything else? No? That's very important. So, ready? All right. Mr. Tony Gadaletta.
That's me.
Okay.
My name is Tony Gadaletter. I live at 201 Wellington, and me and all the residents of Wellington Road are here to find out exactly when our road is going to get done. It hasn't been done in 40 years, just like the pool. So we would like to know when our road is going to get done, since it is a emergency road for the hospital. Okay? You've done every other road around us but us, or doing all the other roads around us but us.
Yeah, so my first probably day on the job is I had a meeting like this, and everyone thinks that they are the ones that have suffered or waited the longest. But I do want to just back up a little bit, and I've said this before, and forgive me for those of you who've heard this, and it's not a canned kind of speech, but just a little bit of an education. So we have 36 miles of road in the
I
village of Road,
understand
right?
that.
Which is 72 miles of curb and gutter and aprons. Just so let's focus on that for a second. We also have many roads, not Wellington, but we have many roads that are not ours, right? We have many roads that are county roads or state roads, and sometimes people confuse which ones because some of them make sense, like Mineola Boulevard and Willis, others don't, like Sheridan and Westbury Avenue. Main Street is a county road, First Street is a county road, Second Street is a county road, so there are a number of them. So when people sometimes bring up road conditions, it's not fully our responsibility. It costs about $1.3 million to do about 9/10 of a mile of road. So currently, what we're doing, Burkhart and Horton and McNeil and Hausner, that is just under a mile in terms of linear feet, and it's over 1.3 million. Our annual budget for everything, for the pool, for the water, for the fire department, for DPW, for sanitation, for all of it, library, parks, is $25 million. We allocate about 1.5 million toward roads. So if you do the math, it essentially means that we are going to do about a mile of road a year. So if we have 36 miles of road, it's going to take about 36 years to go around.
Then it should have
that
been done already.
Right, and I'm getting to that point. So, but also understand that some roads, depending on what they need, so some need reconstruction, some just need mill and paving, some may need, drainage, so we actually have to put in catch basins
But
and things like that.
also, we are an emergency road for the hospital, right? You have the buses that go up and down Wellington Road every day when the school is open.
Mm-hmm.
They make the turn from Jackson onto Wellington, they go up Wellington, and then they go up Garfield, or they go straight up to First Street.
So to answer your question, I can't give you a definitive date or time, but I can tell you, before this meeting, before anyone came here, Mr. Rini, at my instruction, drove, and by the way, I drive on Garfield every single day, every day, because I work at Mineola High School, my daughter goes to the middle school, my son goes to the high school, so I drive to drop her off, so I brought it to Mr. Rini's attention. I certainly see and appreciate the condition of the road, because I drive on it every day. My
But-
son has made comments to me about it.
The condition between Jackson
Mhm.
and Garfield
Yep,
is the worst,
we agree.
is the worst.
So,
You guys came yesterday and patched little things, because they don't patch all the holes. They only patch a section of the holes, because that's all they're told to do.
So, yes, we went there yesterday and patched in response to some specific residents with specific issues. We're not going to reconstruct your road this year, right? But what we're going to look to do is we're going to look to see if we can mill and pave, which is much simpler, much cheaper. Essentially, you've seen this like when they do the roadways, you know, the Northern State, they just literally come in, tear it up, and then they just lay it back down, because there will be no reconstruction needed. That's our hope. And to do that, we're hoping to jump on the town's contract, which obviously we can get some cost savings. So we have contracts every year around probably the winter, October, November, we contract out for next year, right? And as a result of that, we already know how much money we have, $1.3 million, $1.25 million to spend on that mile of road. So I can commit to you that within the next 12 to 18 months, there will be something done on the section of road that you are here to
Because
complain about.
also, what happens is, we got a lot of spots on Wellington that build up with water. During the summertime, it's a hazard because there are mosquitoes constantly. I've gone over there and put the bleach in the pools because the water doesn't dissipate because the road's not level,
Right.
right? The curbs are up, right? If you want to see these, I can.
No, you certainly can give them to me, but I am all too familiar with them, and
You know?
frankly, I can tell you that, you know, next week, we can have a group of 30 residents from another part of the village that feel that they haven't gotten, and I don't want anyone to think, well, if I can get 30 and you get 40, then your road gets done first or doesn't get done first. We actually do have a plan of how we operate, like this year. We try to combine areas where we can maximize that 1.3 million. So if we did Wellington from Jackson to Garfield, and then we did, you know, Wilson from Herrick's to, if we're moving these contractors around, they're gonna charge us more, right? So we're gonna lose on economies, in terms of economies of scale. So we try to get an area, like we did this year, Burkhart, Horton, Hauser, and McNeil, nice and compact. They come in, they bring their machines in, it's all, you know, in the same area, so there's savings for them, and we get to maximize our bang for our buck. So we also don't want to start to just, you know, kind of respond to whoever makes the most noise. It has to also make sense. Safety, of course, is important, but it also has to make sense. And unfortunately, in that area, and we have done some streets in that area, those are long streets. When we did, you know,
You did
Garfield,
Latham,
right.
Emery.
Yep. And by the way, I live on a street that is a county street that wasn't done for over 60 years. And it was done recently, but it had over 60 years. It was concrete, Mineola
Yeah,
Boulevard.
concrete is different than asphalt. Asphalt doesn't last 40 years.
Right. Yeah, well, this concrete also wasn't looking too good after 60 years,
There are roads that are in Mineola that, yeah, First Street.
First Street,
That
yeah.
are,
which is a county road.
yes.
Yeah. I'm going to ask Mr. Rini to come up and perhaps address any other concerns or something that I may have missed. He is the expert. And by the way, Mr. Rini has a list of every road that was paved in the village in the year. So we have had residents come up here and say, oh, my road wasn't paved, you know, it was paved in 1982, and we went back and checked, and it was actually 1998. So,
I got residents here that have been on our block for
Okay, we'll check.
The only thing they did was the east side of the road, when they put the gas line in
Yep.
for the hospital.
Yep.
And that's the only thing
Yep.
that
We-
you guys didn't do it,
Yep.
National Grid.
We're aware of that.
So to that point, that was done years back, and that wasn't a gas line for the hospital. It was a gas main replacement that went from First Street across Jericho Turnpike, up all the others, in that area. The reason you're having some of the issues on Wellington Road, the spec at that time that the village followed for road restoration on things like that was using concrete. So now you have a concrete base that was put under and then paved over with asphalt. The budding asphalt is now hitting, that solid concrete structure, which is then causing a lot of breakage along that. That's part of the reason. You also have what's known as scaling on the road, which affects rideability. The last time that was resurfaced, I wasn't here, but I also know by just looking at it that it was really a skim coat, and that starts to break down fast, and that's why you see areas where you can see, maybe a 1/4 inch of asphalt and then a hole. It's not really a hole, it's the previous pavement there, but it totally affects rideability. You also have some issues there with, most definitely caused by old and aged trees that are there that have lifted the curb and gutter. So there's a number of ways of different looking at this, and what we do is we've divided the village into 6 areas. So basically, we look each year in those 6 areas and evaluate the roads and move ourselves around. So at least we're trying to get in an area all the time that, at least provide some movement around so that everybody in the village is getting something or an area. Maybe not your block this year, but a block that, in that area. So that's how that works. So we grade them and then say, okay, right now we're in the, let's call it, we call that kind of the middle, where we go from, say, Marcellus Road to Pennsylvania Avenue, all right? We evaluate those streets, and Horton, Burkhardt, McNeil, and Hausner were the ones that really needed that. A few years ago, we were in the section closest to you where we did BB, and we had done roads over that way. So we try to move it all around. There again, as the mayor said, there's a finite amount of money that we can spend, that we have, unless, I'm retiring, so I'll say it, unless we raise your taxes and you give us all the money, we can do more. Obviously, that's not what anybody wants to hear or have done. But we have to maximize and move around as best we can. So looking at the roadway, there's a couple of different ways that it could be done. As the mayor mentioned, it could be a mill and pave. But again, you're looking at that kind of concrete patch that's there. Eventually, that's going to start to happen again, because you mill and pave, you're going to take 1.5 inches to 2 inches off, you're going to put it back. That's not going to solve unless we go in while doing that and make the spot repairs on the curb and gutter where you have the water. Or you do a full-blown reconstruction project. And as the mayor said, what we try to do in the winter months before we're formulating budget for the next year is we ride those areas and say, this area, there's these streets that are bad, these streets are bad, these streets are bad. We're in this area this year, we're moving to this one next. So again, that all becomes a decision-making process based on the degradation of the roads in each of the areas and which one we have to get to next.
Can I just ask you a question when you
Sure.
think about repairing the curbs? So I live in the house where all the water's in front of,
Mhm.
and the curb is in good shape. It seems as though it's the pitch of the road that the water just comes and it collects right. in that curb.
Probably that's very possibly caused by, I don't know your address and I'm not looking at it, but there's probably a tree somewhere that's lifted somewhere else that's stopping that water from flowing. The concrete curb and gutter is used as a catch for that, and it's designed, at a certain elevation and pitch that it should run. But a tree root comes up in the middle of it, lifts something, and then all of a sudden, that water can't move. So that's part of the problem that you could be experiencing there.
And if I could just, in full transparency, next year, our road repaving plan has already been determined. It's not in your area, and the only way that, and I'm gonna try to do your area, would be if it is this more efficient mill and pave without a full-blown reconstruction. If you've watched Burkhart and Horton, and it's literally every curb, just about every apron, every gutter, it's a big job, right? We're talking about 2 miles of curb and gutter, concrete, and then 1 mile of asphalt, and the road has to be reconstructed. Engineers have to grade it and pitch it the right way. That's a whole different thing. So next year, we are, and I know you think your road is terrible, but I would ask you to go down on Colonial, down by Hampton Street School, and drive that. It's as bad, if not worse. In my opinion, it's actually worse, considerably worse. But it's a long road that goes from the park all the way to Roslyn Road. And then it has all those dead ends, Senate and Houston and Capitol, et cetera. So my commitment is, if we can get to do your roads in a mill and pave way with some spot, curb,
Concrete repair.
repairs, then we will do that. We'll find the money to do that, because then we're talking, hundreds of thousands of dollars, not millions of dollars. And we're also talking about, now, does that mean that will last another 40 years? No, but it probably will get you another 10, 15, 20 years, right? So it's kind of a catch-22. Do we want to wait for 2 years from now and do Wellington and Garfield and do a full-blown road reconstruction and, gutter and curb replacement for $1.5 million, for whatever amount we can get? Or do we want to see what we can get now for milling and paving? Because some of it, and I tell people all the time, sometimes the road looks ugly and it's a little bumpy, but it's just scaling. It's literally just peeling. It's like when you get sunburned and it's peeling, so the integrity of the road is not bad. When you start to see holes and water collecting, that's a different story. Then it becomes structural, right? So like when I drive on Garfield, Garfield between Wellington and Marcellus looks terrible, looks a lot worse than it actually is, right? Because what you notice is, over the years, between us patching, the utility companies patching coming undone, that top layer peeling, but at the end of the day, the road itself, the structural integrity of the road is okay. It's when things start to break down. And I'll also add that, and I don't think it's in this area, but sometimes when we do full-blown reconstructions, we'll actually find that not every place in the village has the same kind of soil under the road. Sometimes it's clay, sometimes it's sand, sometimes it's dirt, and clay sinks, or it's, it holds water, and now we have to mitigate that. We put screens on it and all kinds of mitigation so that we don't have to come back, 3 years later to repair a road that we just did. So my commitment to you is that we are going to look to do something to mitigate the immediacy of your concerns within the next year or so. But if the engineers come back to us and say, Mayor, you're throwing good money after bad, these roads need to be reconstructed, they need to be repitched, et cetera, and this is not gonna do it, then I'm gonna tell you that it's not in '25, it would be in '26. And I'm just being honest with you.
There's also, another option that we've, been doing in other areas, our own crews, over in the northeast section, Crandall Drive area, over there, we've done a number of repairs there recently. That maybe some of the residents that live between Garfield and First a few years back, we had done some repairs on that section. We've gotten more efficient on making some of those repairs, which may be a stopgap in order to do that, to then do something more permanent a little further into the future, not 5 years, but as the mayor said, perhaps in 2 years. That buys the time for that and at least fixes the rideability of the road. We have the similar situation on Garfield. You all live over there, you know it. The scaling is there, you get the occasional holes, but You know, if you look at the areas over there where we've done, we have a lot of areas where the roads meet, where water wouldn't move, where we had to replace and mill out the, what is known as a valley gutter that goes across the street that helps to carry the water across to get to where it can flow. And we did a lot of that work over there, and that water is now moving out of there because, you know, water and freezing and everything else creates the biggest problems on this, where you're getting breakage.
And
That's exactly what's happening.
Yes.
The water
No, I
collects,
know.
and then the
Yep.
potholes there, the
Right.
plow comes, and then there's big, deep holes. I
Yes.
mean, you guys have, you know.
Yes, yeah.
But is it fair to say also that with the additional apartments that have been built in Mineola and the drivership on the roads themselves, is that a contributing factor to bring
I wouldn't
down
say in your
drivership?
residential areas, no. You know, maybe someday in the future, because a lot of those, especially the ones most concentrated in the, you know, railroad area, people that live in those are using the railroad. While they do have cars, their predominant mode of transportation going in and out of the city is the train. You don't have that same type of traffic that you would have, you know, in a residential area. So I don't
Yeah.
really
We-
see that in that
We have not
area.
seen that, and as a matter of fact, we require that they have 1.5 spots per unit, and they are underutilized. They don't even have, there are empty spots. If you go into the garages under those buildings, they're not parking on side streets because there are meters.
Well, that,
Oh, yes,
But
yes,
that's
yes.
something
No,
else
She's
entirely.
talking about residents, right. She's talking about
right,
residents.
that's something else entirely.
All right, hold on, this is being televised, so everyone that signed up is gonna have an opportunity to speak.
So-
And I'll let you all come up, Mr. Rini can have a seat, but there is that third option. So we do have the capabilities within our DPW department to do small repairs. We do have the machinery, obviously we can't do a road reconstruction, we can't do a gutter and curb replacement with our guys, but our guys do have the ability to do, and we have the machinery and the know-how. The issue, of course, is the same guys that are doing that are the guys who are cutting the grass, picking up the leaves, prepping the park, prepping the pool, doing trees, doing trimming, so these are the same less than a dozen men that we have, and not all of them, by the way, are trained to be able to do that. But that could be another option that we could look at. So we could do, significant sections of a road ourselves, but we can't do the entire area that you're talking about with our manpower, with our equipment, with our resources, and frankly, with our know-how. So we're going to look at it. So we have those three options. Option number one is we can do something in the immediate future where we do it ourselves. Our men do it once we have the ability to have the manpower and they're moved on from, let's say, the pool, which was a big thing to get up and running. We could do that. We could also jump on the town's contract and do a mill and pave in this next calendar year. Or if our engineers tell us that it's beyond that, then it would be in 26, okay? So that's what I'm committing to you, and now I will, but I can tell you that it's not the apartments, it's more likely the school buses. You have to remember that, and this is the issue, and everybody knows who my full-time employer is, and I'm gonna say something that could get me in trouble, but I guess that's why they have tenure. And that is that those of you who've been around long enough know that our elementary schools were built as neighborhood schools. I went to Jackson Avenue. Chief Connolly there went to Hampton. We walked to school because everyone lived in that neighborhood. Now we don't have neighborhood schools. Now we have cluster schools. So everybody that's in 1st and 2nd grade goes to Hampton or goes to Meadow. Everybody in 3rd and 4th goes to Jackson, whether you live in Roslyn Heights, Garden City Park, or around the block. So what does that mean? That means everybody has to be bused, number one, and then if they're not bused, mom and dad are dropping them off, right? And we didn't think about this, and now they've built these driveways in the property at the middle school, at Jackson, and at Hampton, and at Meadow. Why? To accommodate all those buses. When I grew up, nobody took the bus to Jackson Avenue. And I went to Jackson Avenue from kindergarten through 6th grade. Actually, we went through 5th because the chief and I were the first middle school grades of 6, 7, and 8. But, you know, it may not seem like a big thing, but is it a coincidence that the roads that we're talking about are the roads that are by Hampton Street School and by Jackson Avenue and by the middle school? So it's not people from Morgan Park who have been here for 2 or 3 years. It's more, I think, it's the age, the fact that it hasn't been done in decades, but it is compounded by buses, and not just buses, cars. There's 500 kids at Jackson Avenue. I would say probably less than 50 walk. And so that means that the other 450 have to get there somehow, and they're getting there either by bus or by mom and dad, and then getting picked up by bus or by mom and dad. So that really, I think, is what has exacerbated these concerns. Not that you may still be here, but not to mention parking. I deal with more phone calls from angry residents that live by the schools because they never had this issue. People blocking their driveways, people double parking, right? Because they are dropping people off. Oh, I'll just be 5 minutes. Willis Avenue School was built as a school for us, for our residents. Our sons went to school there. Kindergarten, last class, and then it closed. Now it's a private, for-profit, maybe it's nonprofit, Harbor Daycare. And if you sit there, it is chaos in the morning because now you have kids coming from all over Nassau County being dropped off because mom and dad are going to work at the hospital or at the courts or getting on a train, and they don't live here, and they're just dropping kids off. They're blocking driveways. They are double parking, and I get the brunt of it. And then, God forbid, if our code enforcement gives out tickets, right, then we're terrible because we're giving, soccer mom or soccer dad a ticket when they're just dropping off little Johnny. But I have to deal with the resident who lives there who has to get to work and can't get out of his driveway. And all of this created, in my opinion, by a reorganization of the district that went away from the neighborhood school model, and we built schools that we don't use, and now we lease them out to companies that aren't really invested in the village. So, and I expect a phone call probably
Yeah.
tomorrow
from the superintendent.
Probably tonight.
Yeah.
That's all
I
right.
would think so.
Hey, if anyone can prove otherwise, and if anyone has anything to say that what I said is wrong, please come up. No? Okay, all right. Ms. Hardy, do you want to come up? Sure.
I wasn't done anyway.
Oh, okay, we'll come back around. Yeah.
So I live at 185 Wellington Road, and like I said, the water collects in front of my house. It's like Lake Hardy, it really is. And it is concerning to me that, bacteria, mosquitoes, Zika virus, the whole 9 yards. I mean, in every summer, and it has gotten significantly worse. That's like that's a health concern. It's not even just, it doesn't look nice, like you said, it's not about the road coming apart a little bit. It's a significant problem with the pitch of the road. And I've lived there for 24 years, and wherever the cars are coming from, and it could be from what you just described, it could be from the apartments that were built, it could be a combination, but the traffic, the volume of traffic on our road has significantly increased. And also, the other thing is, if you're gonna do the road, I would hope that maybe we could talk about speed bumps. I know they have them in Garden City, I know they have them in places in Queens, because I can be parked on the other side of my house coming out, and people are like motoring down my road. Like, it's really, and if there's small children around, it is a hazard. I just thought I'd put that out there because I don't know how anybody else feels about it, but it's really a safety issue. So my two concerns are health and the safety of the road. And it doesn't matter to me that it doesn't look nice, it's just, it's not safe.
Right.
There's huge potholes. A lot of water, and
Understood.
people are going very, very fast.
Understood. And I'm not a traffic engineer, but I think one thing that has changed, because I live it also, and I'm sure you all do, is this thing called Waze, right? So when you put Waze and it says to turn down on Wellington to save 30 seconds instead of going to Mineola Boulevard, so sometimes people are literally just blindly following a GPS and not really paying attention to through where they're going. I know that we've had people here from Wilson Boulevard where people cut from Herrick's to Hillside, up, cross on Wilson, up on Foch, and sometimes to save, 10 seconds. When I'm in another community and if I'm following a GPS and it says for me to turn left at this no-name street, you know what I do? I turn left. I just follow. I don't know. I don't know that really is silly. Now I'm going through somebody's neighborhood just to save 30 seconds. So I think that could have something to do with it. The speed, and I suggested this a while ago, I know, and I don't want to put this on you, but Waze also has this feature where it says, police officer. So you sitting in your house can put that there's a cop in front of your house, right? And they don't know that, and it's gonna take a few of them. It's gonna take a few of them to figure that out. And eventually when you go by, it says, is the cop still there? And they have to say no, and after about 5 of them say no, then the cop disappears off their thing. But again, if you're sitting around watching TV and you say, hey, let me go on Waze, boop, there's a cop.
That would be a great interim solution. But I would like to know, are speed bumps something that could be on the table?
So I know that we don't have them anywhere. I don't know where they are in Garden City. We certainly will entertain it. You're not the first one. Actually, Wilson Boulevard has come here to say it. My concern is, Wellington gets it, and Horton gets it, and Jackson gets it, and, everybody, and we're just all gonna, so I would have to have a study done by experts that tells me that there it absolutely makes sense.
Well, the one good thing about speed bumps,
Just on 7th Street, okay.
the one good thing about speed bumps around Wellington is that it's in a school area. You've got Jackson, you've got the middle school, there's a lot of kids around those areas. So that might be something that would be,
Okay, justify it.
good justify.
Understood. We'll look into it.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Siegel. If you want to forfeit your right to come up, you can do that too. You don't
Alan
have to-
Siegel,
you don't have to all come up.
259 Wellington Road. I basically came here to back up Nick. Actually, next month, I'll be 49 years at Mineola.
Congrats. Got me
Amazing
beat by
since
2 years.
Exactly, and it was only temporary when I moved in. Basically, the road it's a mess, but then again, I just went out and bought a nice 4x4 pickup, so I always wanted to go off-roading anyway.
We don't want you to do that in Mineola.
Why not? I just wanted to bring up also, I'm having a problem, I'm up at the north end, I'm the first house off of Jericho on
Okay.
the west side.
Okay.
Garbage. I don't know what's going on Jericho, or I noticed some of the businesses there. I'm picking up garbage on my lawn constantly.
Okay.
And I noticed also that there's no receptacles west of Mineola Boulevard.
So we actually
You-
spoke about this on Monday at the LPC, and I've spoken about it here. A couple of things. So we have really stepped up enforcement, especially businesses, but some residents, putting garbage out on Fridays for pickup on Monday, or on Sunday mornings for pickup on Monday. So this weekend alone, we issued 37 summonses, mostly businesses, who put out their garbage either on Saturday or Sunday for pickup
I
Monday.
see that a lot
So
too.
that is absolutely terrible. We've also issued summonses for property maintenance issues, and that will continue to, because it's a huge pet peeve of mine. I live here like you do, I drive here, I see it, and it's absolutely just disgusting that people don't have the consideration, because we have to look at
It's
it
the
all
world
weekend.
today.
And especially in the summer months where we have long days, so 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, garbage is still out, and we're trying to invite people into our downtown. And it's been some habitual repeat offenders, and they're getting hit, so we are doing something about it. As far as the garbage receptacles, what we've found is actually taking them away has produced less garbage. And
Really?
I'll tell you why. So we had, just to give you an example, on Mineola Boulevard, right in front of, I think it's the Lincoln Arms, the Boulevard Arms, between Garfield and Grant, we had a garbage receptacle, those really nice wrought iron ones, in front of that building. Those receptacles are made for a cup of coffee, you know, a bag from the deli, but people were putting household garbage, like bags. And then once you put one and he put another one and it's full, then I come by with my coffee cup and I balance it on there like it's Jenga, right? And then somebody else comes and puts a garbage next to it, and it becomes like a magnet. And they've actually done this in New York City, where they've removed garbage cans because they found that if I have something in my hand, I will keep it in my hand until I find a place to throw it.
Most people, some
But-
people, not
So
everybody.
what we've also done is, and we're going to see how this pilot programs, we purchased 8 Big Belly garbage cans. There's one right out in front of the firehouse. There are a bunch downtown. They look like mailboxes. They are solar powered. They have Wi-Fi, and they are compactors that can compact up to 150 pounds of garbage. And it communicates with our sanitation workers when they are a quarter full, half full, full, right? And it opens like a mailbox. You could either use your hand or your foot, so you don't have to touch it. And when you open it, all you can fit in there is literally
You
something
can't put a
like
garbage
this
bag
size.
in there.
You can't put a garbage bag, and it's discouraged people from doing that. But, so is it the Great Neck Games, or is?
I think it's a combination. I think it's all, another problem is their customers, especially like with the Cornerstone
Right.
or the deli. They walk out of the deli with their stuff, toss it. And it's not that they're throwing it on my lawn, it's just because of the winds, it's coming in off of Jericho.
Yep. I hear you. We brought, and we're gonna continue to do this. I'm not gonna announce when, but, without
want
announcement, we're
anybody.
gonna bring in code enforcement, building department, because that's a building department issue. And they are going to come in, especially now you start to see weeds, kind of bubble up, and people tend to forget, because we have a lot of so-called absentee landlords. In other words, landlords or business owners who don't own the business. And then we have some people that are so proud of their business, you know, and do a great job. If you've ever driven on Jericho Turnpike and Mineola Boulevard, you've seen the gentleman that owns that NYU building where the horse used to be in front of. He's like down there on his knees, like picking up every little blade of grass. You know, Manny Carvalho across the street at the barbecue place, you know, he's out there every day washing it. So some people, unfortunately, don't care as much as others, but
They don't live
we are absolutely on it, and the deputy mayor sends me pictures every weekend. I send them to the clerk. The clerk then writes letters or issues notices of violations through the building department, and then once you get a notice of violation, if you do it again, then you get a summons, and then you have to come to court. So we're hoping to get compliance. That's what we want. So we are aware of it. Thank you, Mr. Siegel. Mr. Becker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, trustees. I'll pass this in David Ways, express some of the things I was thinking.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's all. Anybody else in the audience wish to speak to this or any other issue or concern? Come on up, sir. You'll come back up. You'll finish this off.
Hi, Neil O'Halloran, 183 Wellington. So I concur with all of the issues. I've experienced almost all of them, including the garbage. The parking issue across the driveways is different for us because it's the hospital workers typically. So at the school, if they're dropping someone off, they're there for 10 minutes and you have an inconvenience. They're there all day when they park in front of our house. But kind of the main thing I wanted to ask you, so we've had a lot of development over the last few years in the village, right? Tons of development, NYU, North, whoever they're called now, all the apartment buildings. Wouldn't that increase our budget from all that? I assume there's some tax revenue from them paying taxes to the village for village services and so on.
So our budget isn't, so our budget comes from two sources. Tax levy, which is about 50% of it, so about $13 million comes from tax levy. The other $12 to $13 million comes from a variety of sources, including fines, fees, parking meters, building department permits, some state aid, very little, not enough, and other sources of income. And the money that we get from the incentive bonus, so when these people build, and if you watch this, they give us amenities, so it could be, you know, $2 million. We cannot put that has to be for capital improvement, so we cannot put that in the budget as a reoccurring thing. So what we've done, the park, for example, Memorial Park, the amphitheater, all those pathways, the lighting, all of that has come out of that. When I talked about doing the pool earlier, we can use it for that, for a fire truck, for example, or for some major infrastructure improvement. What I can tell you is, yes, absolutely, every year I go to Mr. Chacon, hey, can we up, roads by 100,000, 150,000? Because at the same time, we have pressures that have nothing to do with us. Our insurance costs and pension contributions went up like $400,000. In a $25 million budget, that's like, half a point. That's a lot, and we have to make it up somewhere. The funds from COVID, ARPA funds, have dried up. We got 2 years of it, 1 million, we're done. So we have to plug that hole. Remember, during that time, we're getting basically no revenue from parking, no revenue from commuter passes or anything like that. So to answer your question, the taxes that we get from those buildings will eventually become significant. As you know, as a homeowner, probably 88% of your taxes are either school or county. Only 12% is village. So most of you in this room probably pay south of $2,000 for your village taxes, but probably north of 10 or 12 for your school taxes. So those big buildings, it's the same percentage, basically. So the numbers aren't as big. And remember that although they got tax abatements, they did not get tax abatements from the village. So they do pay full value for the village. We're made whole, but it's still a smaller slice of the pie.
Right, so the original incentive or whatever you referred to, that could only be used for capital projects?
Right.
Wouldn't that offset something that's in a budget?
Yep.
So if you use
It could.
Memorial Park as an
Yep.
example, so if you offset that with some of this outside money, you could use the money that would have been allocated from the budget?
We absolutely could. We absolutely could. So we could take, there's a number of projects in the pipeline, so we haven't gotten any incentive bonus in probably 5 or 6 years since Morgan Park was built. So we haven't gotten a large infusion of just cash in a long, long time. But we do have some things in the pipeline. So if they come up, I could take $2 million and do roads. But if I take $2 million and I do roads, I make the 20 people in here happy. If I take $2 million and I fix the pool, I make 21,000 people happy.
Right.
So we have, and I'm not saying that we can't do it.
Yeah, I'm just saying that there'd be a balance.
There
that
could be
you
a balance,
shuffle some
absolutely.
funds around and
I
really
would,
up the
I
pot
would love for
incrementally.
nothing else than, my biggest, problems from the get-go have been trees, sidewalks, and roads.
Got all of them.
And trees, sidewalks, and trees, you have people who want trees cut down and people who want to kill me for cutting trees down, right? And then roads, obviously everybody wants new roads. And why did Wellington get it and I didn't get it? Is it because they came to a meeting? Is it because, you went to Jackson Avenue? You just told us you went to Jackson Avenue, so that's why you picked them. Last time we had a meeting here, everyone on the northeast corner, which is the part of the village that goes to Wheatley schools, they accused us of, of being the stepchild, that we don't respect them, that we don't consider that, and it couldn't be the furthest from the truth. But, so that is the balancing act that we have to do while, and I still think, I know that we all love to complain about taxes, but if you look at your tax bill and see what you pay for the village and what you get for that, I think it's still very, very reasonable. The pool, the parks, the concerts, DPW, fire department, library, sanitation, water, all of that for those $1,600, $1,700, $1,800, $2,000 would probably be, kind of on the top end. But I hear you. I'm hoping that with this development that we perhaps can invest some more into roads. And we're also hoping that the state is gonna step in, especially when it comes to water. Water's a big thing. Nobody sees water, except in front of your house.
At my house.
But, we've invested a lot of money in water, and obviously, safety, it's paramount.
Yep.
Well, Mayor, just touch on, so people know, the expenses that have gone into the well revitalizations.
Yeah.
Certain wells weren't even functioning. DPW's gotten them up and running again. They're in the middle of doing other ones. these are major projects for our water, our drinking water. And it's for the future, and it's very expensive, and they've been working for years, trying to get this straightened out. So just touch
Yeah,
on
so
that.
we've spent probably in the neighborhood of $35 million on our wells. We got $4.5 million from the state, and we sued, so Dow, 3M, DuPont, these are all the companies that produced all these chemicals that we now have to clean.
Yep.
Us and every single other municipality across the country obviously sued these companies. One of those lawsuits were just settled, but our piece of that is gonna be, I don't know, $1-2 million, maybe 3 if we're lucky, but not that much. But we're at 35, and the state gave us 4.5, and we're gonna make, a couple of million from these lawsuits. We've applied for some grants, we've gotten some grants, but at the end of the day, that burden is gonna be on us, but we have no choice. We have to. So actually just today, we got the go-ahead from the Nassau County Health Department to turn on well 1. Well 1 is the one under the water tower on Elm, because if we were not turning that on, we only have 2 wells running currently, and I believe that yesterday we produced 4 million gallons of water because it's hot. People are filling up their pools, they're watering their lawns, they're washing their cars, they're doing whatever. I hope they, well, yeah, they could drink it. They can. They absolutely can. And trust me when I tell you that we are way, way, way further ahead of any other water distribution, because most of the water on Long Island is not distributed by a water department that's under a village. Most of them are like you've heard of American Water or Liberty Water. I talk to colleagues of mine who are in those places. Their bills are triple, quadruple what ours are, and they don't have the same kind of interface that you have with the local water department, where we have somebody on 24/7. So if something happens, they respond, and we are investing proactively in all of our wells. So well 1, well 7, which is across the street here, well 4 on Old Country Road. Hopefully within the next year or so, maybe not that long, we'll have that up and running. We have well 6, which is the one on Westbury Avenue. We're gonna begin construction there as well. And then well 5, which is up in the northeast corner. And then we have on Emory Road, we have a 3.5 million gallon storage tank. 1.5. I almost got it. If I said 3.5, 1.5 million. There's 500,000 gallons of water in the storage tank and the elevated tank.
Yep.
And Mr. Rini and Mr. Martin every morning have to check the level because you lose pressure. In the morning, everyone's taking a shower, everyone is doing their laundry, doing their dishes, and so the level drops from 24 feet to 17 feet, and they have to pump water so that we all have pressure. It's amazing what you learn,
That's all really interesting, thank you for that, and I'd love to hear more, but
Yeah,
I don't want
sorry.
to sidetrack. But along those same lines, just out of curiosity, since our road hasn't been restored in however many years, 40, 50 years, what's the status of the sewer? Is that in good shape, or would that have to get dug up at some point? Anyway,
Okay, we'll get you that answer.
yeah, that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, no, that's important, yeah. And, yeah, I didn't mention that either, that's not just water, we also sewer as well.
No, thankfully, in the residential areas, while the system is old, it's in good shape. We are lucky, we do a lot of preventive maintenance on the lines to make sure that those lines are fine. We did have not in your area, but in another area, a major trunk line that we had to replace a few years back. But overall, even though they are constructed of vitrified clay, which is an old construction use for that type of piping, they're in good shape. We haven't had any issues, thankfully, or anything like that in those areas. So, just a lot of times it's the main trunk lines that take it down, like Main Street we had done that, and that takes in a very large sewer shed area, and that, could only handle so much, so we had to enlarge that. But by and large, in the residential areas, sewer lines are fine.
And since we're talking water, just another public service information. If you get any letter regarding checking a water service, it is mandated. We're not trying to play gotcha, we're not looking for anything. It's the LCRR, or Lead and Copper Rule Regulation, that the EPA launched. So by the end of '27, right? So we have 5,700 and some odd water services in the village. We have to check every single one on your side and on our side to make sure that it's not lead or copper or galvanized steel. And if it is, we have to switch it out. So this is these are unfunded mandates. They're not giving us money to do this. They're telling us we have to do it. We have to do it. And then we are about just shy of halfway of checking, correct?
Inspections, yes.
Inspections. So if you get something, you're supposed to get it, schedule an appointment, we'll be in there for 5 minutes,
Exactly.
and then we'll be gone, get it at my house, there's no issue, but then we have to check your side, our side as well. So your responsibility is from the curb stop to your house, to your service inside, to your meter, and our responsibility is everything on this side of that.
You said that, Mayor, just remind people, make sure it's from the village.
Yes,
Correct.
there is something, my wife fell for this, you may get like a kit or something, and it's telling, oh, your water is terrible, we're gonna come in and check it. It's a scam. They're trying to sell you filters, they're trying to sell you something. You send the samples in, they call you back, and they said, oh, yes, we found this. We test our water multiple times a week. We have to send it to the Department of Health. We have, standards that we have to upkeep, and trust me, if we exceed any of those, we have to shut down. We have to shut down wells, we have to mitigate. So just be careful when people, it's not from us, it's not from our engineers, it's not from the EPA, it's from private for-profit companies that really want to sell you something. So just be careful.
Yeah, just to that point, it is a letter on village letterhead, the initial letter that goes to residents. We basically, at this point, blanketed everything north of Jericho, now starting to come around, we'll call the middle section south of Jericho. So you will see a letter from the Department of Public Works and Water. The current ones have my name on them, but it explains the program and why we have to do it. It's under 15 minutes. We can do it 7 days a week. So it'll be an official correspondence from the village when you get that. You're getting companies like Fountain, with a PH it starts from, that are mailing out all these things that, tell you to do free water testing. And then they come back and they give you a whole litany of things you can buy from them. But understand that, as the mayor said, we do bacteriological testing every week. We do all sorts of other testings for organic compounds, inorganic compounds, lead and copper. We are constantly testing throughout every single month, every quarter, every half of the year. We have different things that we have to hit. So we are on top of our testing of water. And we comply and we meet or exceed every standard that we have out there. And as the mayor said, we are doing these well projects to be in compliance with all these new regulations that are coming out. The EPA just doubled down on another one but we're already ahead of the curve and have, one well station across the street already done and operating. As the mayor said, well number 1 is getting a new treatment there. So that's almost done. Well number 4, and then well number 6. So we're way ahead of the curve. We have received $15 million in grants through the state that we battled for and got. But as the mayor said, it's still $35 million. At the end of the day, we have $15 million. That's still $20 million. So there's a lot of that goes into it. Now add on the lead and copper testing. So there's a lot going on in the water world. But at this point, and always prior to, we would take a very conservative look on what we do with our water. We find something, we take the well out of service, and we make the adjustment and make the repair. That's one thing you can count on for sure, as our water department is on top of that. I mean, I live, eat, and sleep it pretty much the last 6 years. So, and that's one thing I'm very proud of the things that are going on right now, and that to make sure that we are fully in compliance with everything that we need to do, so, but that's
Thank you.
that.
Is the state or EPA requiring anything on PFAS or PFOA?
Oh, yeah, we're already
Yeah.
ahead of that.
Yeah.
That's all of that, so
Yeah.
that's, you'll see the building across the street when you go out next to the firehouse, the brick building, there's two GAC vessels, as they're called. They each hold 40,000 pounds of carbon. There's two going in on Elm Place, right across from the firehouse where our well station number 1 is. There's two on Old Country Road and 8th Avenue where our well 4 is, as well as what is known as an AOP, an Advanced Oxidation Process Reactor, which deals with 1,4-dioxane, which has already been in there because that was detected. So all these things are happening and have been happening for the last few years through COVID and through all these other things that we've been planning, designing and building. So, yeah, we're ahead of a lot of people at this point. So, sure.
Thank you. And since we're doing public service, I just thought of something that you would never think about, and I know that Mr. Gibbons always wants to make sure that we prolong the meetings. Something that so we've had 4 occasions in the last 4 months where our sanitation trucks have been stopped and have been quarantined because of finding radioactive material. So when we take our trucks to our sanitation provider, Omni, out in Babylon, right? So I think it's important, and I don't think that there's any nefarious reason for this, but every time that happens, the truck has to stay there, it's quarantined. We have to, at our expense, call in a hazmat remediation company at an expense of about $6,000 to $7,000 each time to go through the garbage and find the radioactive material, then dispose of it and get rid of it. So all 4 times, it has been essentially bags from chemotherapy or from radiation treatment that people, I guess, are doing at home, and they may get sick and they vomit and they throw the bag away. It is radioactive. It's terrible. However, and I'm saying this, that hopefully this gets disseminated, that you can't do that every time that you do that. I'm sure that your doctor or the hospital probably has a system in place where they'll come pick it up. It has to be disposed of as medical waste. Every time that happens, and it's been happening, once it happened twice in 1 week, and again, we don't have any choice, we have to pay that. And we're in for almost $30,000 already just this year. And that's $30,000, that's like the salary almost of a starting employee. And it may not seem like a lot on 25 million, and of course, it's terrible that these people are sick, and in some cases we have been able to identify who the person is because it's got their name and address on the bag, and we did not make them pay the $6,000 or $7,000, but we did say, please don't do it again. But these are the types of things that, and we're working with the Nassau County Health Department to try, because in speaking to other mayors, and again, many villages do not have their own sanitation, they have private carters, but speaking to other mayors, this actually does happen more often than you would think. I never in a million years would have thought that, the first time that Mr. Rini told me up, they got, I'm thinking, like Cold War stuff, radiation and what's going on, what are people throwing out? And of course, it does make sense. We have a hospital right here. I think a lot of people now choose to have treatments at home, or they choose to, come home. And obviously, I don't think that they are doing it to be malicious, but it is happening. So if anyone is listening, and I know that the press watches this, that we need to get that information out there, that please call your medical provider, call your doctor, call the health department, and dispose of this material properly, so that we're not. And then we lose a truck for a day or two, or longer, until it is remediated, it is identified, and it is disposed of properly.
So wouldn't something like that, though, be like an infusion company coming to the house to do that versus the person?
I don't know if the actual treatment is happening at home. They may be getting treated at the hospital, then coming home and getting sick at home, and the hospital clearly is sending them home with some bags that has their identifiable information, name, et cetera, that we could then, not every time, but where we've been actually able to pinpoint who the person is. And it's not one area of the village, it's been actually 4 times from 4 different areas. Tom? Yep, sure.
I just think something like that, there's got to be an infusion company that's involved in that as well, not just, generally people don't do those things on their own.
Just to explain it a little further, generally what we're finding at this point is what is known as iodine-131, which is a radioactive isotope that is used in treating certain cancer patients. I've been in contact with the hospital and had discussions with them, but not blaming the hospital because people will get cancer treatments at a number of different places all throughout, the county and everywhere. But in looking at it and trying to figure out what we could do and looking for guidance from the healthcare profession, things like this, they're not supposed to, throw their garbage out. They're not supposed to do any of those things, or even they have to isolate. They have to do all these other things, and they're sick, and it's hard, I'm sure, for the families and the people that are going through that. And the initial reaction is just to obviously get rid of whatever. But certain instructions are given to patients by their medical providers on how to deal with such things. And unfortunately, I think in the moment, this is what happens. And they throw it out, not again being malicious or any other way, but you're sick. You're trying to do anything you can to feel better, I'm sure. So again, we're not looking to blame or persecute or give anybody a hard time on it. It's just they need to be aware of the process that they need to go through in order to dispose of this, because the problem is it has a half-life of 8 or 9 days, but it could take months to fully decay. And we pull in and we go hot. We've just bought a Geiger counter of our own so that we can inspect vehicles before we go out and know if we have a problem before we go dump. And then I'm going to try and find a way where if we find it, to just make that storage so we can hold it rather than lose the truck. But we're looking into all these things. But again,
And it's thrown out in household garbage, so we know that it's not, so in other words, it's
Yes.
garbage full of other stuff
No, I
from a home,
Yeah.
but so it's not the.
It'd also be like a not properly followed procedure.
Well, that's-
Yeah, clearly, I think that
Yeah.
clearly is it, and we're just trying to get the information out to as many people, and we've reached out to the Nassau County Health Department, because clearly this is not a Mineola problem, this is a problem everywhere. So if they, they have deeper pockets than we do, they send us letters all the time, we get stuff in the mail all the time, so if they could just put this in there and the hospitals as well, there's definitely an education process to this.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else in the 3rd row, 4th row? Come on up. Yeah, we'll get there. I promise you're gonna close this off, you're gonna close this out, you're gonna bring us home.
On 133 Wellington Road, and I have this huge tree in front of my house. When my parents moved in over 50 years ago, I've been in the house over 50 years. It was a skinny little tree, and it really didn't do much damage, but every time it had a storm lately, big branches fall off. I know it's between the sidewalk and the street, but the tree is bigger than this. The base of it. Somebody needs to come and look at it. A few years ago, my sister and I went down to the town with a letter, and we complained about the tree because it had fungus at the bottom. And I think they came to look at it, but they really didn't do anything about it. But I really think this tree needs to be taken care of before it goes down on a car or goes down on my neighbor's house or my house. It's really, really big.
Okay, so we know, about I'm just pulling up your house here,
It's big.
133, but we do have an app, GoGov app, where residents can put in any kinds of complaints or any issues, and then what it does is it gets farmed out to the department, whether it's sanitation, DPW, the clerk, et cetera, and then I and we can follow it, and you can follow it. So if you went home and you downloaded the app from the App Store, it's free,
Okay.
And you put down 133 Wellington Road tree, Mr. Rini would get that. You would then see, Mr. Rini would acknowledge received, then next week you'd say, we visited the site.
Okay.
And you would see it until it gets closed. And then on my end, I get to see when tickets are closed, when,
Okay.
when the issue has been. I do see, it's a beautiful tree.
It's a
Yeah.
big
Yeah,
tree.
it's a beautiful
Yeah.
tree.
And big
Um,
branches have fallen. I've taken pictures of the branches that have gone
But
down.
I will say this, and this is an issue, is, 50, 60, 70 years ago, when village planners or government were planting trees, they clearly did not think of the future because they plant, like swamp maples that are made to be out and
Yeah.
on a 3-foot, utility strip. Clearly, not a problem 50 years ago, a problem 50 years later. So if you notice, the trees that we plant now don't grow to those dimensions,
Right.
aren't made to last that long. These are beautiful, majestic trees, but I can see what it's doing in front of your house. It's bringing up the curb, it's bringing up the sidewalk, it's bringing up the gutter. There's actually water here.
Yeah.
But I will say that many times, these trees, the roots could be in gas lines, it can be in water lines, so it's not as, and this is a massive tree. This tree would take, the better part of a week to take down, and we do that. But again, so the same guys who pave the road, the same guys who do the pool, the same guys who, clean the leaves, the same guys who prep the park,
Okay.
are the same guys who are gonna cut down the tree. And we do try, and then they're the same guys who come back and grind the stump the following year. We try to. Like I said before, trees, sidewalks, roads. We've had people here that if I showed them a picture of this tree, they would chain themselves to the tree
Right.
so that we wouldn't cut them down. So we do have people on both sides of the issue. You may remember when we did Foch, and I wasn't the mayor then, News 12 was here, and, people were up in arms, and I get it. I like shade, I like trees,
Yeah, we do too. I love
and by the
tree.
way, we plant literally as many trees as we take down or lose every year, literally one for one. So we may cut down or lose a few hundred trees a year, let's say 200, we'll buy 200 trees
Okay.
and replace 200 trees. So there aren't less trees today than there were 50 years ago, they are just bigger. So yeah, clearly, this tree was not meant to be on a 3-foot utility street.
I think the squirrels love it.
It is,
That's about it.
it's a majestic tree, it's very nice.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in the 5th row? 6th row? 7th row? 7th row is the last row. Come on up.
Yeah. We're just gonna save time. This is my wife, Karem. Hi. Hey, Tony.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, we moved into the neighborhood like 2.5 years ago.
Welcome to Mineola. Where'd you
Hi,
move from?
my
my name's
New Hyde
Karim,
Park.
sorry.
Good,
Yeah.
much better, good choice.
Yeah, we love it, we love it. But the road is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everything else is great, the homes are beautiful,
Yeah,
I love
no.
the block, everybody's got some like nice colonial, it's really a beautiful block.
Yeah.
We love walking in the neighborhood, you got Chaminade, you got all the schools, you got.
Have you gone to any of our concerts? We have a concert?
Yeah, we have
Yeah,
the
we've
back
gone
out
to the
here.
concerts.
You probably
yeah.
just have to go
Concerts.
outside, just listen to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we
We're
love
that
it.
close.
Yeah, no, it's a great area, and, but yeah, that road is just so bad, yeah. So,
Right. And,
yeah.
and,
Go
well,
ahead.
I wanted to, I mean, I don't know if you had a question, but I'll
No,
go
just-
first.
that's it.
Sorry on that. So the thing I found though that I thought was different, being that we came from New Hyde Park and my husband grew up in Garden City, is that, and I don't know, it just seems unreasonable that we have to wait 40 years or 40 plus years to get your road paved, when I remember being in New Hyde Park for 12 years, in the last neighborhood that we were in, which is in the Oaks area, and even in North New Hyde Park, our roads
Were you
were
in the
paved
incorporated incorporated or
years.
unincorporated?
It's town of North Hempstead,
So
but,
town.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess their budget's much bigger than ours, right? But it just seems so crazy, because to me, maybe I do remember our roads being paved like probably every 3 to 5 years. And after every winter came, the spring came, the roads were brand new. And now we're here, and, I have to watch where I'm walking,
you're
I
not gonna
can't
have
go
to wait.
running, I can't.
You're not gonna have to wait 40
you know.
years or anything
Yeah, it
close
just
to
seems,
that.
Just don't forget
yeah.
about it.
But, no, we won't forget.
No,
But
but I
yes, the
think
town,
that
the
may
town
be a
has
budget.
much bigger budget.
Right.
And that's why I mentioned we would even try to jump on their contract to do a mill and pave, because then obviously you save in terms of economies of scale. And relative to their size, they actually have less roads than we do, because their roads are spread out. You have 32 villages in the town of North Hempstead, so that means that those 32 villages and every road in that village is not their responsibility. Their responsibility is only in the hamlets, right? So their responsibility would be Albertson, Roslyn Heights. Now, obviously, they have a lot more roads than we do, but in terms of the size, if we take per square mile, we probably have more roads because we have a lot of density. And obviously, when you go up to the North Shore, homes are not on 50 by 100, they're on half acre, acre, et cetera, so there are not as many roads. But yeah, we hope to not only get your road done, you've been here 2.5 years, it will be done in less than 2.5 years,
Good.
and you'll be here for 50 years.
Nice.
Okay?
All right, yeah,
Okay.
because we're trying to get some of our friends from New Hyde Park to move here too.
Yes,
And,
come on over.
Spread the word.
Yeah,
Come on
exactly.
over.
Thank you so much.
Just,
Hey, thanks a
just
lot.
some that can't drive down Wellington.
Yeah, and thanks Tony for getting us here.
All right. Are we gonna leave it to Tony to finish us off then? All right, Tony, you're on. Oh, wait,
We got one more.
we have one more.
The oldest resident of Wellington.
Okay.
Maria Sysak, 217 Wellington Road.
Hello.
I'll apologize before I start because I didn't hear everything that was being said. I'm a little hard of hearing. My family moved into Wellington Road in 1957. In 1960, in the summer, the road was repaved. A layer of tar was laid down and blue stone was placed over it. And cars drove over it for about a week. Then in 1966, the same thing happened again. The road was repaved again. And after that, nothing for 60 years, patch upon patch upon patch. Public Works was good when you called them up and they came and they threw that shovel full of whatever. And about a week afterwards, particularly in the winter, it was gone. And residents just lived with it. Around the corner from Wellington Road on Jackson, there is about 15 feet of curbing missing since before Hurricane Sandy. I called up several times. I got nowhere. People come to that area of Mineola, not only residents, but people outside of Mineola. They go to the concerts in the park, they go to the library, they go down and they park along their streets to get to the hospital. And this is what they see of Mineola, a road that belongs in the back roads of Kentucky. And it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace not only from you, but from the previous boards that let us down. There is a trust between the residents of this village and the board, and that trust has been broken. You supply sanitation, you supply maintenance of the buildings, but the most important thing is you didn't supply the maintenance of those roads. And it just keeps on going on and on. Meanwhile, many of these same residents are investing a lot of money in updating and redoing their homes. It brings the value of the village up, but those roads don't help the value of the properties. There have been enough excuses, and there's been nothing done. There are 5 people on this board. You can point to anybody underneath you, but in the meantime, it's your responsibility. 5 of you. Some of you live very close to Wellington Road, and you look at it every day. Parcel off the village. Each of you take a section. Drive through that parcel once a month. Take a look at it. Don't rely on your underlings. take a look at it, because the responsibility at the end is yours. I don't want to hear words. I don't want to hear promises. I want action. And I think it's a disgrace of each of you, because only you have been speaking. None of the rest of this board has said anything. And you were voted here to participate, not just to listen. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that. And I can't speak for previous boards. I've been the mayor for 2 years, and I think one thing that I cannot be accused of is of not being transparent, as I was all day today. I told you exactly the roads that we're doing this year. I told you exactly the roads that we're doing next year. And I told you that we would not be doing your roads until the following year if we did a full reconstruction. I can't help what was done in 1966 or 1986 or 1999, but I also, to insinuate that we are somehow derelict in our duties, I don't have to parcel off the village. I drive the village every single day, as everyone does here. We have 2 first responders who jump on fire trucks and go to wherever they're called in the village. We have people who walk the village. I don't rely on Mr. Rini to tell me that Garfield or Wellington is in bad shape. My eyes, I rely on my eyes, I see that. But I also, and we also do have a fiduciary responsibility to keep your taxes low and to provide you as much services as we can within reason. So I understand that people may be upset. We live here. This is not, you're not talking to a congressman or to a senator who has no connection. I grew up here. We raised our families here. We are raising our families here. Some of us are products of the school district here. We're not going anywhere. I've been here for 47 years, been here 70 some odd years.
76 years in Mineola.
Trustee Solosky's family has been here since before the village existed. There was a Solosky in Mineola before there was a Mineola. So these two are kind of transplants, but
36 years.
36 years. But so I get that people are frustrated, and I certainly do not want to minimize the comments that were just made. They were spot on. There's nothing, I'm not making any excuses, but if you don't want me to make promises, then what are you here for? I don't understand about, you want action? I can't go out there tomorrow and fix your road. I'm telling you that. I can't fix it next month either. I'm promising you that we're going to look at it, and that hopefully within the next 12 months, we will mitigate or repave your road. If not, if it has to be a full reconstruction, we'll do that as well. But I'll keep you informed the whole way. And please come down. I would love to see meetings like this all the time. That, she's absolutely right. She walked out, but absolutely right. You voted us in. That's what we're here for. We're here to be responsive. But that doesn't also mean that you're going to always get the answer that you want. You're going to get an answer. I feel like I gave answers today. It may not be the answer. I can tell you, oh, absolutely, we're going to do your road in October. I would be lying. Everything I told you today is truthful as best as I know it right now. And as far as the other members of the board speaking and not speaking, there's a reason for that. I'm the mayor. I'm the one who gets to tell Mr. Rini, do this, don't do that, etc. You know, at the end of the day, you know, I'm the chief executive, and I'm the one that has constant meetings with all the department heads and really knows, I mean, everybody here is aware of the budget, and this is not a surprise to anyone. You know, next week we could have a meeting and have somebody from another part of the village complaining about their roads. We get that. So we've heard you. We are going to work on it. We worked on it this week by, I know it's only a patch, but by responding to specific residents who had specific issues in front of their house. And we're going to look to do something that is much more permanent in the relatively near future. So I ask you for your patience, just for a little while longer, and hopefully we'll have some good news for you soon. Tony.
Two things.
I think she should have been the last one. I mean, she had it, you know, she hit it out of the park, you know?
Yes, she did.
You did. That's gonna be a tough fact to follow.
Well, two things. There is 2 trees on between 197 and 198, right, that I called, right, 2 years ago, right, when Optimum was putting in the fiber optics, right, they tapped one of the branches, the thing snapped and came down. It was on Halloween, right? They came down the village, they cleaned up the branch. They said, no problem, the tree is dead, and the one next to it is dead. They said, they're gonna put you on the list and they're gonna take the tree down, right? This year, it's gonna be 3 years on Halloween, and the trees are still sitting there. And God forbid, the one branch that snaps and hits somebody or hits a car that parks underneath it, then it's on you guys.
Okay. I'll look into it tomorrow. Absolutely. The 198?
At 197
Yep.
and 198,
Yep.
there's 2 trees. One, it's totally dead.
I see it.
Right? The other one is half dead. It's got one big branch.
Okay.
Right? But it's got one branch that goes over Wellington Road that's totally dead, and it's gonna, one good windstorm that really shakes it is gonna snap, and it's gonna either hit somebody on the road or hit somebody, a car.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, sometimes when it does, and that does complicate, and again, I'm not making excuses, if the tree is in the wires, we can't touch it until the utilities come in and so it just complicates and delays
But
it.
like I said,
But I see, I'm looking at it.
I said, this Halloween, it'll be 3 years. In 3 years, somebody could have done something with it.
100%.
Right?
100%.
Because people are gonna get hurt. That's the main thing. It's a safety issue.
Thank you.
Second thing,
Yep.
right, on going up and down the block, right, the lights on Wellington Road from First Street to Jericho, right? Half the lights down on between Garfield and First Street, they either blink, they're very dim, that what I was told, right? And same thing on on my block. There's on 198. There's a light that's out, and it's been out.
So this is a perfect example of, and not that everybody has to do
People
this.
call. Everybody I've talked to has
Because
called.
we have a contract. So number one is we are in the process of switching out all the lights village-wide to LEDs, right? So, and that takes time and takes a lot of money, but we are kind of swinging through the village counterclockwise. Number two, we have a private contractor so if we tell them the light at 198 Wellington Road is out, they come in and they fix it. So if we're made aware of it now, if you said you've called, I believe you, but better than calling, because then there's a trail, is if you go on the app and you put 198 light is out, then Mr. Rini or whoever gets that assigned to him, and then you see on your end all the way to completion. Light was replaced on this day. And it's not to pass the buck, but it also gives me the ability to say, hey, what's taking you so long? This ticket was issued last Tuesday, and it's now, next Friday, it's 2 weeks. What's the problem? So that's usually a pretty easy one, because I know I've called Mr. Rini. Again, our DPW is not out at night, right? So they're not checking lights, and during the day the lights aren't on. But if residents bring it to our attention, I know I brought things to Mr. Rini's attention, and then all he does, he doesn't go out and replace it. Our guys don't go out and replace it. This company that we have the contract with, they used to be Wellsback, now I don't know who it is.
O'Regan Electric, but
O'Regan.
we do log every single call, so tomorrow I can run right through my log and put the address in and let you know what we have or don't have, but I will do that.
But we'll look at the trees.
Also, I'm sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
No, we also get a report from our streetlight people as to when they've done them, so I'll check that.
Like I said, it was, this year it'll be 3 years on Halloween when I called, when when Optimum tapped the branch, and that it was a big branch on there that snapped. And luckily, it was early in the day, and the kids weren't out, that they were working, because somebody could have got hurt.
That's obviously a problem. The lighting one is a much easier fix.
The lighting
So
one, like I
that's-
said, I've talked to a lot of residents on Wellington Road from First Street to Jericho, and the biggest thing too is the lighting.
Okay, and if anybody else has an issue with lighting, please let us know, either by going on the app or calling us, because that's something, we pay for that service, right? And so if they know about it, but we have to know about it in order to.
A lot of people I've talked to said they've called.
Okay.
They come, they look at the light, they do something, it works for a while, then it goes out again.
Okay, we'll check.
What is the other name?
It's called My Mineola. Yep. On the App Store. Oh, if you go to the website, if you go to our website, there's a link where you can download it, or you can upload it there, so you don't necessarily have to do the app per se. But I think it's called My Mineola, right, Mr. Rivera? My Mineola? Yes, My Mineola. Yep, right there.
Yeah.
And then it says, if you open it, it says Start a Request, and then you could just literally put your address in, and then there's a drop-down menu. Is it a pothole? Is it a tree? Is it a light? Is it parking? Whatever. And then it gets sent out to the building department, DPW, sanitation, water, depending on what your issue is. And then that person or that department will then respond to you, and you'll be able to, so if anyone works in an office setting and you have a computer issue, you put in a ticket, an IT ticket, and then IT says, we've received your ticket, we're working on it. And then 2 days later, they say, ticket closed, problem solved, whatever. And then you know that it's being dealt with and until it's closed. And it can only get closed when it gets fixed. And then you could say, then you can come here and say, hey, I put this ticket in on, October 31st, and now it's January 31st, and it's still open. There's been no solution. And I can see that too, right? Because now you can say, and not to say that anybody's lying, but I can tell you that I've experienced firsthand people claiming to have called me, spoken to me, emailed me, and they haven't. And they haven't. But they'll tell others, I spoke to the mayor, and I don't know these people, I've never spoken to them. So sometimes people say they called, sometimes they say they called 5 times and they only called once. But regardless, and this is a good way to keep us honest and to keep you honest as well. All right, so we're gonna look at those lights, we're gonna look at those trees.
Last thing, I just thought of it. They were saying, we have people who park, literally park in front of driveways, right? My neighbor across the street, right, had some woman come, probably from the hospital, right, park right across her driveway, right, and left her car. She came back late in the 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right, young girl, and she's giggling, right? I called the town, I called the 3rd precinct because they didn't really want to get involved. They came down, they were going to ticket the car. I said, tow the car away. The woman has 2 kids, right? God forbid something happens, she has to go to the hospital or go somewhere with the kids. What is she supposed to do? She can't get out of her driveway?
That's
right?
just ridiculous.
The town tells me they don't tow cars. Well, if someone's parked in front of your driveway, somebody should come down and tow the car away.
Yeah, I don't.
Ticket, yes, but
Yeah, I would call 911.
they said if I wanted to, I can call my own tow truck and get them towed away. I said, but why should I pay for it?
So, I would recommend in that situation, call Village Hall Parking Enforcement, extension 200, they'll send somebody a ticket, but also call 911.
I did.
But 911, not the precinct.
No, I called 911. They came, they sent the cops down there and they weren't gonna do anything.
In a situation like that, escalate it, because I've had that happen to me personally, and we'll contact the higher ups in the precinct if necessary.
Because a lot of people on Wellington have people parked into their driveway, across, not the whole driveway, but half the driveway. and they think
And
nothing of
what
it.
what are the parking regulations, alternate side?
It's alternate side, yes.
Are there any other restrictions?
Nope, just alternates well, it's 90-minute parking from Garfield to First Street,
right.
right? From Garfield to Jackson, it's alternate side, and from Jackson to
Jericho.
to Jericho, I think it's they can't park.
Right.
No parking.
So you have most of your neighbors here. If you, as neighbors, so chose to give us an idea of what parking restrictions you would prefer, obviously you would also have to honor those. We've done that. So if you wanted to, let's say, extend the 90-minute to between Garfield and Jackson as well, alternate side, and if you get enough of your neighbors to sign a petition and present it to us, we would do that, but just understand that then you can only park there for 90 minutes as well. If that would alleviate, you think, some of the issues, then we're all ears, but understanding that that could push the problem just one block over.
Why couldn't they just issue permits to the people that live on the block?
It's actually constitutionally illegal. The road is public. We can't give you like special privileges for parking on a public street that a non-resident couldn't. So, and that's not just here, that's everywhere. That's everywhere. Now, there are places that you'll see that they have stickers, but those stickers could be for commuter passes, like what we have in commuter lots, that's a different story. Or some places do give stickers just to identify the car, but trust me, you're not the first person to come up here with that, but the law is pretty clear that we are not, somebody would sue, they would win, because we can't, make this into some kind of private condominium, benefit for residents on public streets.
I've had people twice park in front of the fire hydrant in the house next door to me. And I called the village first thing in the morning. They came down and ticketed the car.
Our parking enforcement is tremendous. They do a great job. Some people would probably complain that they do too well of a job sometimes. But, they're very responsive. But this falls under the category of you can't fix stupid, right? If
Yes.
somebody's gonna be stupid enough to park in front of somebody's driveway, no amount of legislation, laws, parking enforcement, that's just the epitome of being inconsiderate. If somebody's willing to park and then laugh about it, then obviously they have other issues. And those are not issues that any of us are qualified to fix or address. So I'm sorry that happens, but, and call the police and definitely escalate it, make them take a report, because then we'll follow up. We get a printout every month of every single moving violation, accident, or any kind of police activity in the village, and we'll make sure that is addressed.
When I was chief
If
of the
not-
fire
yeah.
department, a number of times I came to a scene, and people would park in front of the fire hydrants in front of their own house. And the call would be to their house, and they would see how important it was to not be in front of that hydrant. But I talked to the officer on the scene, and they'd write tickets right away. So the police do respond quickly, and they will ticket. So if you see it, call it in.
Hey, it was supposed to be 15 feet from a fire hydrant.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a lot closer than that.
Yeah. And we're not out there with a measuring tape measuring either. Obviously, we all know what, 5 feet looks like and what 15 looks like, but if it's 13, okay, but if it's, 2, not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not okay. All right, Tony, thank you. You'll be hearing from us or seeing from us over the next couple of months, and hopefully we can address your concerns. They are all valid. We all take them seriously, and we are going to look to try to resolve them as quickly as possible and as equitably as possible and as efficiently as possible. So, anybody else wishing to speak? Yes, sir. Yep, coming up.
Mr. Gibbons probably would answer that. I know when
Mr. Gibbons is still here?
Yeah, he's still here. I know that once a car gets a ticket, you can have it towed. And then that person whose car it belongs to, it's their problem with the towing company. And I know that's in the city, I don't know what it's like out here.
Yeah, we don't have that same latitude.
Well, I'm not saying you have to tow it. He can, once the car is ticketed, he can get a private tow truck to come in and take the car.
You have to pay for it.
No, because the tow company's got their car. You want your car back, you gotta pay.
Well, you're gonna run afoul of the police on that.
I actually talked to I had that happen to me where a car was parked in my driveway, cop came, and I have big cars, so getting out of that driveway was not easy, especially when they were like even a couple of inches into the driveway. And I talked to the cop about it, and he says, once the ticket's on it, you could probably get a tow truck to come and take it. Have to look into it. I know you used to do it in the city. I used to work in the Bronx.
Thank you all for coming out. We hope to see you at the next LPC meeting, and more importantly, hope to see you at the concert this weekend. Thank you all for coming out. Have a great night. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to close the public meeting.
Motion.
Motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by trustee Clark, seconded by trustee Solosky. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Good night, everyone. Well, we have an engineer. We have lots of engineers.